Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Corsace Closed 2023. Here we've got the matchups showcase for the semifinals, along with the Mappool showcase. And it's been a long weekend. We've got a lot of intense matches from this weekend we could talk about going into the matchups for next weekend as well. And I think we're just going to get right on into it. Or not. As usual, I am Miles, going to be presenting this to you along with Taquito, who will be joining us shortly. I believe he is finishing up another Mappool showcase for, I believe, 3WC. We're going to start up without him. Got to start on schedule, so going to first start with the matchups for the semifinals before moving on to the showcase. Oh yeah, I'd like to explain how we're going to do potentials. So this is going to be the first weekend of potential matches. For the predictions, we're just going to choose two players who we think are probably going to win for that. We're not going to be showcasing every single potential, but going to try and predict what it's going to be. So we are going to be starting with the winners bracket matchups for this week. We've got the only 4 players remaining in the winners bracket. Players who have yet to lose in this tournament. We're going to be starting off with Malashevsky versus Suwagi. I think so far the two most unstoppable looking players in the tournament. Suwagi, of course, only losing 2 points so far in this tournament, beating Karcher 6-1 and WhiteCat 6-1. I think a lot of people didn't expect him to look as dominant as he has so far in the tournament. Meanwhile, Malashevsky in the same boat, 6-1ing Mustache in round of 16 and then 6-1ing Zoodie in the quarterfinals. Both of these players have basically yet to really face any worthy opposition in this tournament. And this is going to be the first for both of them, I think. Malashevsky, of course, looking at those stats, it's so beautiful. Gold stat in aim, tech, finger control, precision, and reading, meaning he is the #1 stat in all of those skill sets. And seed #1 for good reason. The most dominant tournament player I think we've seen in ever. Only maybe could be matched by like peak Vaxe, maybe peak Bubbleman, like I don't know, Rust Bell in 2015. We have never seen a guy as well-rounded as Malashevsky. Meanwhile, Suwagi coming as a surprise for a lot of us. Haven't really seen him be extremely active. I think coming back for OWC, and then since then just becoming an absolute demon in tournaments, only losing 2 points in the first 2 rounds, as I've mentioned, being one of the best aim players we've really seen. He was able to win aim against WhiteCat reliably, which is something we don't really see many players do. But when up against Malashevsky, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for him, and we're really going to see what he decides to pick into this match. I think he's going to remain picking aim, but obviously it's going to be really difficult. And here's Taquito. What's up, Taquito?
Not much. Just came off the 3WC showcase. How are you doing, Miles?
I'm doing great. We're just, looking at these matchups first before going into the pool showcase. Making fun with the new Discord soundboard feature. I'm vine booming all over the place, you know.
Oh, no.
And, it's really funny. I'm gonna stop, by the way. That's
yeah. Good plan. Good choice.
So you got anything to say about this matchup, Taquito?
9.13 precision. 9 what?
Yeah, 9.
Malashevsky, I mean, some people have been predicting that Malashevsky's stats were going to see a huge spike after the match with Zoodinator, and that we'd see at least 9, and there it is. 9.13 on the precision. Malashevsky has been looking so good in just the numbers. But Suwagi has been looking good in the matches, consistently performing really, really well. I'm really excited to see how these two players play against each other.
Oh yeah, just like to clarify for people in chat, these stats are calculated by 3 of our map pooling staff who are rating every single map in each map pool by difficulty, and then we're running some awesome calculations through the MP links that are calculating what the player's stats are for all of these skills. So like for example, say a Nomad 1 is literally just nothing but cross-screen aim, we would give it a 10, and then if a player assesses it, then they get a 10 rating to be slapped onto their average or something. I don't know exactly how it works, but just think of it like that. So I think this matchup definitely goes to Malashevsky. And Suwagi, though, is going to be much more of a question mark because he's been doing so well this tournament. But now he has his toughest opposition yet in a player who has been absolutely unbeatable in these last 6 months. I think Malashevsky definitely with the advantage on speed and reading, but Suwagi going to be picking, funnily enough, I think Malashevsky's best skill sets in aim and tech, but it's going to be just an uphill battle. It's my opinion on it.
For sure, though Suwagi absolutely has the skill to contest it, but we'll just have to see this weekend.
All right, now I think it's time to move on to our next winner's bracket matchup. We've got Emrek versus Kriller, two more players who have looked to be really dominant so far in the bracket. We've got, of course, Emrek, number 2 in qualifiers, up against Kriller. Emrek losing only 3 points so far in the tournament, losing a point to Crystal in the round of 16, and 2 points to Ciccone in the quarterfinals. Going to be coming up against Kriller, who lost 3 to MCY4 and 6-1 to Rimuru in the quarterfinals. I think this is going to be a really interesting one.
For sure. And now, I do want to take a little bit to look at the golden stats here. The golden stats mark a player being the number 1 at a certain category in the stats. And with Ninarek being eliminated in the loser's bracket this week, his previous golden stat in the speed and stamina was moved to Emrek, who has the next highest. But also what I want to point out is that Emrek and Malashevsky are the only 2 players with the highest stat possible.
Yeah, they've just been unbeatable in their skill sets, and obviously I think it might continue to be that way. Those 2 just seem leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of the other players, but I think one player who really actually has the opportunity to stick it to Emrek here is going to be Kriller, coming in at seed number 6. I think Kriller's real aptitude for some of the gimmickier picks in the pool could really be an opportunity for him to score points against Emrek. Like, obviously Emrek going to try to ban out reading against Kriller, but if there's any gimmicky maps left in the pool, like something maybe a Hard Rock 3, DT3 type of map, maybe some other more awkward maps in the pool, I think Kriller definitely has the advantage on those.
For sure, and Kriller has been looking so good, not only in this tournament, but in everything he's been playing. One in a Krillion, as I've seen some say. Kriller, we also had on for an interview on Full Circle, the official Corsace podcast. If you're interested in listening to that, where he kind of gave some insights into his past matches and his plan for the future in Corsace Closed. Very, very promising prospect against Emrek here.
If I were to give this matchup a score right out of the gates, though, I think I would have to favor Emrek, though. Maybe something around a 6-3. It could be 6-3, maybe 6-2, 6-4 if Kriller pops off, but I don't really see Emrek losing this, depending on the circumstance. It's really gonna depend, I think.
Yeah, I mean, circumstances can always change. They're always subjective, so you never really know until it happens. Very, very exciting stuff. I will say, semifinals, this is going to be the last best of 11 round as well. In finals and grand finals, we're going to be seeing best of 13. So this is the last time we're going to be seeing those score lines that, have a 6.
True. I apologize for that mix-up. I still think that score will stay the same, though. I don't see Emrek really losing to Kriller as good as he's been playing, but we'll just have to see. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be an intense matchup for sure.
We will see. I mean, they're all super high-level players at the end of the day, and the smallest of circumstances can change and flip a match over, so you can really not know until the weekend.
All right, now we're going to be heading on down to the loser's bracket. Going to be starting off with a rematch of actually one of the final matches at the round table qualifier tournament. We've got Zoodinator and MCY4. MCY playing today, just barely scraping his way past Ninarek, winning in tiebreaker in what was a really good performance on that tiebreaker for MCY. But I think in this tournament, Zoody might be out for vengeance. The star rating is going to be a little bit higher. She's looked, I think, a little bit more consistent, just unfortunately having to run into the wrecking ball that is Malashevsky in the quarterfinals, already down in the loser's bracket. Now she goes. Going to be facing MCY. I think it's going to be another close matchup between the two, though.
For sure. So far, MCY4 has won both of their 1v1 encounters throughout 2023. We'll see how that remains. They have been very, very close matches throughout. And as you said, the pool SR is higher than the pool that they originally faced off on in the Roundtable 2 qualifier tournament. So it could very well be a different story between these two players. Obviously, two players who can kind of pick into each other's skill sets, but never really know.
Definitely going to be a very difficult match to call, being that these two players, I think, overlap in some of their stronger skills. MCY, I think, surprising a lot of people, losing aim to Nineric today. Probably Zoodinator going to be using that against him, being one of her best skill sets. Obviously going to pick reading and tech as well. I think speed might be a little bit of a gray area. MCY, not the best speed player, but could combo game Zoody out on it. But still, I think this is a matchup that might come to favor Zoodinator this time around.
Yeah, we will see. MCY4 and Zoodinator, both very, very good players. Again, as you said, reaching the grand finals of the Roundtable 2 qualifier tournament. Two people who could be grand finals contestants on any given day, but they're meeting here in the losers side semifinals. This is going to be, honestly, a heartbreaker for at least someone.
Honestly, there's a lot of heartbreakers down in losers bracket. The fact we have 8 players down here who are extremely good, and 4 of them are going to be leaving during the first matchup of next weekend. It's just going to be, I think, really, really intense matches. People fighting for their lives. Losers bracket is a gauntlet.
100%. Now let's move on into our next matchup here. Be WhiteCat versus Enri. This one also another one where I at least personally feel both of these players have the potential to take it all the way. But meeting up here in semifinals, this is another potential heartbreaker.
Yeah, both of these players, two of the best tourney players in their countries. I guess you could make the argument that Kriller may have surpassed WhiteCat at this point, but still, it stands that both of these guys are two titans of tourney players, and they've both performed out of their minds on many different occasions. But I think after this weekend, seeing how dominant Enri was in his routing of, I believe it was, who was it? It was Crystal, 6-0ing Crystal. He was able to beat Crystal on his own skill set as well, actually, but
6-0 over Crystal today, where we saw 2 other tiebreaker matches today, and then just the most out of nowhere 6-0 ever. I'm crazy.
Yeah, it was a crazy performance from Enri, winning on all different types of skill sets, winning awkward aim, precision, reading, speed, basically everything you could really think of against Crystal. But I think WhiteCat's going to give him a larger challenge on that front. WhiteCat probably going to be abusing aim into Enri. But I think I would edge this match towards Enri just based on his advantage on reading and speed, and probably the ability to equal him on tech as well, because as we've seen in the past, WhiteCat is a fan of picking tech, probably going to try and do it against Enri, even though it is one of his stronger skill sets. But I just think this match could end up being as one-sided as the Suwagi match was, unless WhiteCat can get his act together.
Yeah, it is going to be a practice stiff, and honestly, Enri is such a well-studied, well-practiced player. He cares a lot about matches like these, and just for that, I would give him the edge over WhiteCat here. WhiteCat, obviously a very good player when he wants to be, but we've consistently seen just how one-sided his matches are, how careless he can be against both Demonical and Suwagi. He's had a lot of trouble sort of holding on, and Enri is the kind of player that can just absolutely dominate over WhiteCat if he so chooses. We've already seen a sweep from Enri. In fact, I believe the only sweep in the tournament.
Yeah, and Enri, obviously, after that round of 16 loss to Ciccone, I think he was really disappointed in how he played during that match, and he bounced back really well this week in quarterfinals, so I think I'm going to be able to expect a similar result here against WhiteCat. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he really wants to perform well and go further on into this tournament and establish himself even further as one of the top tourney players in the game.
100%. Now let's move on into our next match.
Oh, yep. Potential. Our potential match. First one.
Potentials, yeah.
So we basically just decided that we're going to take who we think is going to win, and we're going to call it a potential. So Zoodinator versus Enri, I think, is a very likely potential for the last 2 matches we covered. So we're going to be covering it here again. We've got Zoodinator and Enri, Seed 9 and Seed 7. We've already talked extensively about both of them. both very strong, very dynamic players. I think this one also might have to go in favor of Henry, I think mostly because of the speed. While Zoodi, I think, is probably stronger, more consistent on the aim and tech, I think the speed and reading and the ability of Henry to maybe breakpoint one of the other maps could really give Henry, I think, the one break point that might separate them. So I'm going to have to actually call this one maybe like 7-5, 7-4 in favor of Henry.
Of course, now the last time these two have played, they've both been on best of 11, meaning it has been a 6-4 scoreline both times, and with semifinals being the final best of 11 round in this tournament. I would kind of expect something similar, but I would actually give it over to Henry this time. Zoodi won in their past 2 encounters in 1v1 tournaments. However, Henry has shown such amazing improvement lately, and even though Zoodi has been improving as well, I just don't think it's enough to sort of outpace Henry in that sense. Henry's been playing so good lately, especially on these high SR pools, where I think he might just barely edge out Zoodi.
Oh yeah, wait, can we clarify? So semifinals, this is best of 11, right?
Yeah, this is the final best of 11.
Okay, I misheard you last time then.
Yeah.
It's going to be close though for sure. These players are both really hard to bet against. They're both so consistent on their skill sets. I think if Henry can play like he did against Crystal, I would put him as the favorite, but I think on an average day, if Henry cannot reach that next level, I would have to favor Zoodi. I think Henry has to continue to push his own limits, has to continue to improve, has to put in the work, and I think he definitely can make it out of the semifinals weekend. But Zoodinator herself, she has been improving for such a long time. She has a great mindset. She is also a player who likes to practice the pool. So I think she's going to come with a plan, and she can definitely stick it to Henry if she plays well.
For sure. This one's going to be a close one. Both these players, such good mental, such good practice. I am very, very excited to see this should they win their other matches to get into this potential.
All right, now going to be moving on down into the next block of losers bracket. We're going to be starting out with Ciccone versus Karcher. I think this is going to be a very difficult one to predict because Karcher has not looked like his usual self so far in Corsace Closed, having a little bit of lag spikes, maybe playing the game a little less than he wants to, being dropped down to losers bracket early, qualifying only at 13th. I think we haven't really seen so much of that OWC Karcher this tournament, and that's what really makes me think that Ciccone has a good chance in this matchup.
Yeah, it's hard because Karcher is just like the OWC player for South Korea, I feel. But if his PC is continually having issues, if his OSU is continually having issues, he's not going to perform at the best that we expect Karcher to perform. And I'm a little worried for him here. I want to say that this is going to be a match between the best of the best for both these players. Both these players at their peak. Ciccone versus Karcher should on paper be an insane match. Super high level, but I'm really, really worried for Karcher. You can see it just in the numbers. Every one of his stats dropping down. So I would love to predict a Karcher win here, but I am just worried. However, should his PC be looking okay this weekend, I think this is Karcher's game. Ciccone's been struggling a little bit, especially as we get with the higher stars, and that's not an area where we see Karcher really struggle. So I'm going to assume the best case scenario and say that I think Karcher wins this with about 6-3.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think if Karcher wins, it's going to be much closer. I think where this match really lies is in the Hard Rock pool because Ciccone, I think, probably has the most defined skill set out of anyone in the tournament, where he is one of the strongest DT players here. He's one of the strongest Hard Rock players here. A little bit shaky outside of that, though, other than maybe the Nomad 2, Nomad 5, as well as maybe some aim picks elsewhere. But I think this lies in the Hard Rock pool because once Ciccone runs out of speed, that's where he typically likes to go. But, you know, when Karcher's at his best mod is that Hard Rock. And if Ciccone manages to mispick a Hard Rock and Karcher wins it, he could start to run away with the match. But I think skill sets like reading and gimmicky picks aren't really going to be tested too much in this matchup. So maybe if Karcher gets some practice in, maybe finds that motivation again, grinds a little bit of this pool, I think it's a matchup that should favor Karcher. So I'm going to put him winning at 6-4. But Ciccone definitely can win this. And I'd say this is probably the most likely upset if we're calling it an upset from our choices at least.
100%. I do think this is going to be a contested match to some degree, though. It really depends just how Karcher is looking on the day.
I think that probably is what hinges on this match as well. A good day from Karcher will be a Karcher victory, but anything less than a good day, Ciccone will strike. So, now let's move on to the last Losers Round 2 match. We've got Akola Bed versus Taquito. Now, this is one where actually, when talking about these matches before, me and Taikani disagreed. I think Taquito probably would win this matchup, but he thought he thought Akola Bed...
Taikani wins this. Taikani wins this, easy.
Taikani beats Taquito here now, but Akola Bed, I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup because Akola Bed is a player where we don't really know too much about what his defined tourney skill sets are. We've seen him play extremely well on tech, speed, aim, not really much gimmick. Speed, I already mentioned speed. But Taquito just being such an established tourney player after coming off a pretty rough loss in the round of 16, probably going to be trying to get his composure back in this round, and I think he has a really good shot against Akola Bed.
Yeah, the problem for me is just the rough loss. Taquito really hasn't had the greatest time. Going 6-4 against Mostache as well as going 2-6 against Zoodinator. Akola Bed just has that really good skill cap, I feel. He did lose to Kriller, but honestly, anyone can lose to Kriller. I personally believe Akola Bed qualified as number 3 for a reason. I believe that on the semifinals pool, which is the same star rating as the qualifiers pool, I should add, he's going to just outshine Taquito just a little bit. That skill cap that Akola Bed has is going to be so crucial as we get into these harder and harder pools. And that's kind of where I think Taquito's going to falter a little bit.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there, but I just think Taquito isn't really a player who really falls down and stays down. Whenever I've seen him have a bad performance, he tends to really bring himself back up. Maybe after a weekend of tilt, I think he's going to come into this weekend. He's going to be well practiced on the pool. I think he's going to come in with a strong mindset and some very good picks here against Akola Bed. Knowing a lot of this map pool, I think he definitely has a way to find 6 picks on the board. But, massive but, Akola Bed looked really good on tech. And that's something that Taquito really likes to pick. I mean, it's in his name, you know. But, like, I think that's probably where a breakpoint could happen in this match. If either of these players pick tech and lose it into the other, then that could be a setup for someone to run away with the match, in my opinion. But still, this map pool is really hard, and as you mentioned, everything about the qualifier seeding is true. This is going to be a very difficult map pool, and Akola Bed's skill cap could just shine through in the end, but we're really going to have to see.
For sure, and now let's move on into our guess for the potential matchup. We'll go with, you know what? We'll go with Taquito winning for this potential matchup.
All right, fair enough. Maybe we do both because we're so split on this one?
You know what? No, let's just run up. We'll run up the Taquito conversation. Obviously, Taquito is a more experienced tourney player, so... And imagining the upset is fun. So our potential match would be between Karcher and Taquito.
Now, these two players, we've already mentioned a lot about them. This is going to be assuming we get more of that OWC level of Karcher back in this matchup. I think just OWC Karcher is really just underseeded in this tournament, though, if we're being honest here. I mean, obviously, he seems to be not really in the best mindset these days from what he's tweeting, all about, like, oh, it's no longer Karching time. But, like, peak Karcher just probably wins this, right?
In my opinion, OWC Karcher is a top 3 contender for this tournament. I see no world, and this is no insult to Taquito, but I see no world where Taquito wins against a Karcher on a good day. And obviously there are lots of question marks surrounding this player, and it's why we keep going back to, well, you know, how's the day? But Karcher, should he perform at the level that people expected when he was announced to be in this tournament, honestly, I would put it 6-1 over Taquito. He's so good at everything, such a good all-rounder. You know, a Circle Circuit Championships top 3, I believe. A consistently great player who's going to contest Taquito on a lot of Taquito's own skill sets, and that's where Taquito's going to find a lot of struggle against a player like Karcher.
I'll agree with you, but to a lesser degree. I think Taquito probably gets a few more points on the board, considering that Karcher will probably ban out 2 of the hidden maps. Either 2 of the hidden maps or 2 of the reading maps. I think Taquito could probably steal up the remaining of what goes unbanned from either of those pools. Say, if a Nomad 6 stays unbanned, probably advantaged on it. If a hidden 2, same thing. Hidden 1 and hidden 3, probably a little bit more of a toss-up between them, though, so I'll expect Karcher to ban out the reading picks here. Leave Taquito to fend for himself on those hidden 1 and hidden 3 picks, of which I think it'll be a little closer, but I would expect Taquito to win those. Other than that, though, probably favor a peak Karcher on almost anything else, and I would have to call this one probably 6-2. But then again, this is the biggest question mark of the tournament, honestly. Is Karcher going to bounce back? If he bounces back, he probably escapes this weekend, but if not, I could see him very much losing to Ciccone here, and we're talking about a whole different matchup. Honestly, any of the 4 players in the last 2 matchups could make it out of this weekend. This is just such a varied matchup on this difficult of a map pool.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it's going to be for Corsace Closed as we whittle down players. It's going to get closer and closer in every single matchup. That's what you love to see. It's why we invited these 16 players here, was to make the closest, most competitive, high-level matches possible.
All right, now we are now going to be moving on into the map pool showcase. Right now, we've got our semifinals map pool. Going to be balanced around being 8.2 stars. So we're going to be going up past 8 stars on a lot of these picks here. But obviously in Nomad 1 balancing, we're going to be starting off with the Nomad 1 star rating. And we had a vote for this, I think, before the stream. Right? There was 4 options.
That there were.
All right, now looks like 40% of you said 8.16, 31% said 0.23, 13 said 0.09, and 13% said 0.30. And I believe the winner of that is going to be the 8.23. And that is, we've got our mahirashina custom Filia no Rashinaban by Risa Yuzuki. And this map is just aim. We're reaching that point where, like, this is just demon aim all the way through.
Yeah, this one, I played this before the showcase, and it is incredibly hard, incredibly straining all throughout. It's 224 BPM, as well as 5 minutes. This one really tests your ability to completely just, like, aim all the way through. As the tapping is not comfortable at all, so it brings out sort of your raw aim by the end. Like, are you actually an aim player, or do you just mask it behind consistency?
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. This pool is actually balanced around being 8 stars, so this is just shooting a little bit above and beyond. I think a lot of that is because of the BPM. These jumps are a little bit quicker, so going to be inflating that star rating a little more, up to 8.2. But I mean, at this rate, I feel like that tiny gap doesn't really make a difference. We're still going to be balancing this around 8 stars, which is what you'll see for the rest of the maps.
Of course, this map, a Corsace debut for mahirashina here. Wonderful Asian mapper who just brought us, who just came to us with this amazing 8-star Nomad 1, 8.2 in terms of actual star rating. Balanced, of course, around 8 stars.
Yep, this map, honestly, now that this is uploaded, I'm just going to be throwing this in my aim collection. This will be what I do to de-rust my aim, and I think a lot of players here are probably going to do the same, because this is just, I think, a really nice and straightforward aim map. There aren't really too many things in this that'll really trick you up other than the aim. So that's what makes it a good training map, and it's crazy how now we're at the stage of map pooling star rating here in Closed, where these maps are going to be considered training maps to a lot of players, because that's how hard it is.
Of course. I will say, a little unfortunate, his diff name got cut out on the overlay with his Blue Archive Asia code. He got robbed.
He did.
Yeah, not awfully much to say about this map. Lucreece replay, Lucreece just going through, playing the super intensely hard aim on this map.
Yeah, Lucreece did more than half of the replays this week, by the way, so massive shoutouts to Lucreece doing so many of these replays on demand. You just ping him and he shows up. Definitely the MVP of the test players so far, just showing up every single time we ping.
Of course, love Lucreece, man.
Mm-hmm. Man, am I excited to see Suwagi versus Malashevsky on this map.
Oh, I mean, that's gonna be so good.
I mean, Suwagi FC'd the map from quarterfinals, No Mod 1. I wonder how he's gonna fend off Malashevsky on this type of map, assuming that Suwagi will probably end up picking it, because if you can FC an 8-star No Mod 1, you're probably gonna want to pick the 8.2-star one as well.
Again, it's 5 minutes long. This one's so brutal. The nerves should catch up to you by the end, by the point you reach this spinner. That is going to be it for our custom No Mod 1. Thank you again, mahirashina, for the No Mod 1. Thank you again, Lucreece, for the replay. And let's move on into No Mod 2.
Got another custom, this time by Errol. We've got Odin by Graham. And if you know Errol No Mod 2s, you probably have a good idea of what this is going to look like. This map is just brutal for No Mod 2 standards. I mean, we gave you guys something nice with the Knowledge King map last week. Now your flow aim is really going to be in trouble because this map is so difficult to aim.
Yeah, this one, it went through quite a few changes. We had originally, this was a massive cut stream map. But we kind of balanced it out. It's a little easier now. This used to be like grand finals level, honestly.
Yeah, but we're going harder than that this year.
Of course, the right background now in the beat map display had some issues with that, but now we are right here. 200 BPM, 3 minutes 46 seconds, 7.5 star rating does not do this map justice. It is so consistently hard to hit all the flow and stamina in this map.
Yeah, this map might appear to be lower star rating than the No Mod 2 from last week, but that's where you're going to be mistaken on the difficulty because these angles are hell. It is just hell. You can be a stream farm player, get a really good score on that Knowledge King No Mod 2, but this map really tests if your aptitude on these streams. You see some of these overlaps are just so easy to note lock on. Lucreece obviously getting 540k, but we had other top stream players like Brectigon trying this, and he was really a big fan of this. But that guy's also one of the best stream players in the game, so.
Yeah, this is kind of the Arrow classic of just mapping a Graham song as correct as he can muster. I'm super happy to have this. I believe our internal idea for the Arrow slot was a slot that lets him show us a Graham song that we don't know, and this was the one right here. Odin. He actually had two different ones. One I know he's planning on mapping in the future, so I can't spoil it, but shoutouts to Errol for this map. A Corsace veteran map, a custom song for Corsace Open in 2022. So we love having him around, especially for these No Mod 2s.
And yeah, this is really where we're going to be seeing aim control being added to the No Mod 2 slot, and that is something that I feel like has really become apparent this last weekend. We saw people, quote-unquote, aim control abusing other people in the match, picking things like that HR2 into the No Mod 3, which is a lot of aim control alt. This time we're throwing aim control in the No Mod 2, and you're going to see shortly that I believe our alt slot is going to be a little bit less heavy on the aim control when compared to the last week's one.
Of course. And again, you got to shout out Lucreece for this replay on this No Mod 2. Again, I can't stop talking about how correct Lucreece is at getting those replays out. So thank you to Errol for the custom, to Lucreece for the replay, and now let's move on into the No Mod 3.
We've got Amita Kuji by Uplift Spice, mapped by Pigeons. Now, I think it could kind of be questioned how much harder this really is than the No Mod 3 from last week. But as I mentioned earlier, this map is fairly different from the AJ Mosca custom we had last week, where this one I think is a little bit more straightforward, a lot more, I think, just aim intensive rather than aim control intensive.
Of course, this one a little more traditional of a No Mod 3 than you might expect after last week's aim control fest from the AJ Mosca No Mod 3. This map, as you said, by Pigeons. I believe this is the Corsace debut for Pigeons as well. So love to see this right here. Pigeons applying for Corsace Closed, and a couple of us going, what? Like, a lot of us were like, wait, we know Pigeon, but Corsace in 2023, that's what he wants the map for? And you know what? We took him in. Like, love Pigeon's maps here. Bit of a surprise to see on the application, but you love to see it nonetheless. And don't let that star rating fool you. The alt star rating is so cruelly underbalanced. 7.15 does not do this justice.
Yeah, I mean, this map is just pretty brutal, but I think a lot of the difficulty on this map is condensed into the choruses. So if you manage to combo through one of the choruses, you're really going to be able to get that combo up before the next one. Although the bridge sections aren't really that easy either. You can see right now we're in the section before the second chorus, and it isn't really too easy to combo.
Certainly not. Yeah, just because it's a little more traditional than last week's No Mod 3 doesn't mean that it's easier or anything. And of course, the replayer, Lucrece, once again, 3 for 3 so far.
He's the GOAT. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT!
The GOAT! I love that video. I need to put that on my soundboard. Not that I would mention a soundboard during commentary.
Let's just add that to the Corsace soundboard and name it Lucrece.
So true.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to mention about this map, though, is that the last chorus is arguably a lot harder than the other two. I wouldn't go as far as to call it a diff spike, but there is one pattern in particular that I think with nerves could really catch out some of these players. I mean, I personally hit it on my sight read, but I think if a player is not ready for it, say if someone is sight reading it, they could really be caught out by it. And I'll tell you when it's coming up. You'll probably notice, though. Right here. Yep.
Yeah, this one could absolutely kill you on nerves. That is going to be it for our No Mod 3. And now let's move into our first non-custom of this pool, Yoderi, mapped by Halgo.
Yeah, this is a lot different, I think, than the No Mod 4 we had last week. Another one where, I guess, when compared to last week, you could make the argument of this being easier. Yeah, but it really depends on what type of player you are. The No Mod 4 from quarterfinals by LaCandy, that map had a lot of, I think, more conventional slider jumps along with some bursts. While this one is a lot more of that Halgo style of tech that we really saw a lot in tourneys last year. So I think it's really a different type of map, and you can't really judge them on the same level if you're trying to evaluate difficulty.
Yeah, this one, I believe, was also pooled in North America Tournament 2022 Grand Finals No Mod 4. So, you know, some of these players may be already familiar with this map. Super fast, weird sliders, along with these sort of text stream bursts that kind of pop up. Test your control a lot.
Replay for this one by Amamiya Kokoro. Very strong South Korean player. Coming off some strong tourney victories himself. I believe he was on that South Korea team that beat USA in 3WC this weekend. And definitely another player on the up and up that you might expect to be invited to Close next year if he keeps improving.
Of course. A very, very strong name coming out of South Korea in sort of the past year especially. Really becoming known to a lot of people. Amamiya Kokoro. Very, very good player, especially on the tech. And wonderfully getting us this replay.
And I feel like it's really hard to describe Halgo's style of tech. He just really uses this peculiar type of slider, and the stream aim that he adds to these maps are just really aim control heavy. And we have this part, whatever this is. We've got our nice big ol' intestine sliders. But he hits them, of course.
Of course. The tumor generator sliders, not particularly hard to hit. You gotta just pray you see the slider tech, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of the way you play these Halgo maps, right? You kind of just, you don't really follow the slider. You just look for the slider, take the slider, and you kind of cheese a little bit.
I mean, when we're getting to this star rating of pooling, you know, that just becomes an inherent part of high star tech, you know. You just have to aim the slider heads and pray. Not too much else to say about this map. Just relax and enjoy the Halgo.
Of course. But as we come to the closing moments of this map, that's about all there is to it. Thank you again to Amumi Kokoro for the replay, and let's move on into the No Mod 5.
No Mod 5, we've got A Lasting Promise by Lar, mapped by Shizure. Is that a collab, by the way?
That is a collab, for sure. Right? Hold on, I have to double check. Yeah, okay, it's Shizuku and Amateur.
Alright. So yeah, this is our No Mod 5. Yeah, here's a real speed map, guys. Real speed, it's high AR this time. We're not throwing any density at you. We're not throwing a map that's probably too easy for the pool at you. This is just a raw 8-star speed map with a lot of difficult techie elements as well as finger control as well. So this is basically how speed progresses now when you get up into 8 stars.
Now, of course, this map has, this song has actually appeared in Corsace Closed before. Actually, on this very set is Zelk and Panda's diff, which was used as Corsace Closed original tournament Grand Finals No Mod 5. So same set, different difficulty. Kind of crazy to see how Corsace Closed has come. Of course, Corsace Closed being an invitational tournament with a different invite list every year. Not many players from the original Corsace Closed are playing in this tournament. So, kind of reusing it a little bit.
But yeah, funny thing about reusing, we almost ended up reusing a No Mod 2 from last week, and I mean, obviously awesome. the one from there was from OWC this year, so it's new, but like, we were kind of at a scramble to find that one, so just goes to show when you get to this high star rating, it's really difficult to find good maps for this map pool. But in this set, there were multiple good diffs, so we went with this one this time around. And I think it's going to be a map that very much favors the pure speed players. Going to be probably a better one for Ciccone, who I know struggled on the density of the one from quarterfinals. Now into No Mod 6. This is a map. This is a No Mod 6 of all time.
This is the map ever.
The map ever. Bombs over Baghdad. Map by Squilly. Yeah, this is lots of very difficult stack reading. You're going to have to really learn this song, I think, in order to play this map well. Because this is mapped a lot to the lyrics. If my ears don't deceive me. I think the mapper in this call probably has better ears than me to decide that.
I can't hear the hit sounds, brother.
Oh, well, okay, so we'll just say you really have to learn this one, similarly to Silver Temple. This is low AR, I think it's AR6, if I recall correctly, maybe AR7. But that doesn't really change, I think, the real difficulty that comes in this map.
Of course, this one very active on the 1/4, along with the constant overlaps. You see these sliders going into each other a lot. This one a custom met by Squilly. I can't remember if this is Squilly's Corsace debut or not, but I'm pretty sure it is. Of course, Squilly under the username Grr Snarl Growl.
Oh yeah, this replay was converted. Lucrece played it on AR10, and we converted it for this showcase because we were pretty hard-pressed to find someone who could get a good score on this for the replay, but I do want to shout out Conrad, who got a 500k score S rank on this before the map changed versions. So Conrad, of course, getting a good score on this on a different version. I'd also like to thank him for putting extensive time into test playing this. He put in a good hour learning this map just to make sure that it was proper for the tournament, and we found out that it is. So big shout out to him for being a lot of the reason why this map is here.
Yeah, lots of effort went into this one. This one went through a couple changes itself, but very, very proud of the final product. I think the entire team really. Squilly made quite an amazing product on an Outcast song too. Not ever something I expected to see in tournament, but you love to see it.
Yeah, such a banger. This one is gonna get reused a lot, I think. And I also think he might get requests to change the AR so people can start pooling it in Hard Rock, because I think this would be great in many different slots, honestly.
That's the best pattern in the map. Oh my god, I was waiting for it. He makes a Corsace Closed sort of pattern out of like 9 different objects. Sorry to cut you off, but that's just the best thing ever.
Hey, that's fine. Alright, now that's gonna do it for the no mod pool. On to our hidden one now, very quickly. Gonna be going into Ankle Biters by Paramore, another classic banger from Osu. It's been remapped quite a few times. This time we're gonna be taking a ranked set of it, this one mapped by Attendant. We had a few different choices for this hidden one, and we ended up settling on this one. Lots of very awkward aim, which I think is very standard for this spot in the map pool.
Another non-custom by Attendant. Just 2 minutes long, very, very short aim map here. And of course, another Lucrece replay.
Yeah, this one I think probably a little bit more conventional than the Hydron custom we had last week, where that one had a lot of high BPM aim control as well in that map, while this one is definitely single tappable. I mean, we did see people single tap the Hydron map anyway, so might not be something really worth bringing up, but the lower BPM does call for a different style of map, especially when you're reaching this star rating. This is up at 7.61 stars, so the spacing has to be pretty damn big if you want to make it this high starred.
Of course. I mean, that's the hard thing about, you know, low BPM awkward aim. It's not even low BPM, that's the thing. This should be high BPM, but in the context of Corsace Closed, 230 is slow for a hidden one.
Wait, I might be crazy. I internally thought this map was below 200 BPM. I don't know what it was. Probably just the fact that there's 1/3 streams in this. But yeah, this is definitely.
Honestly, the song sounds slow.
But it's definitely within the realm of everyone's single tap range, so I think it's only going to be the true full alternators who are going to be alternating this.
Of course.
Yeah, this one on the shorter side as well. Down at around 2 minutes in length, I think. So, going to be relatively shorter compared to some of the other hidden ones, but still offers a very intuitive HD1 experience. And that's going to be all for that one. Onto our low AR pick. We've got Bad Day Goodbye, mapped by Artisan. Now, this map was originally meant to be in quarters, actually, but due to some balancing issues, we moved it up, changed some patterns, as well as some map stats, I think, and now it ended up being here.
Got this replay, the first Ikoro replay of the tournament. I believe we just brought him on the other day, and he already pumped out this replay for Artisan's Hidden 2.
Yeah, I mean, Ikoro, I think the reading economy in this tournament is in shambles without Ikoro agreeing to play this year. So obviously we got to bring him on to do some reading replays for us to show these top players, yes, you should be good at reading, and you should pick reading. Please pick reading maps, guys.
We love the people who pick the reading maps. Please pick the reading maps. We love you. Put so much effort into them. So many custom mappers making these awesome reading maps for us, including Artisan.
Yeah, a lot of people might not know this, but Artisan, before he became a really well-known mapper, was a really strong tournament player as well, specializing in some of these very difficult reading maps. So obviously, I think joins the realm of Yolk's Pie as players who are really good at reading who also map reading as well.
This one worth pointing out is AR 7.5, not AR 8. We're to the point where the pools are hard enough that the players don't get AR 8. That's too easy.
Yeah, this map tends to throw a lot at you. There's a lot of very different patterns that show up a lot of time throughout the map. Like, you see these square cuts there that cut to the other side of the stream after the square other side of the screen. And I think there's just a lot to miss on here.
Of course, this one very centric on those sort of geometric patterns, right? Those squares especially. Cuts are absolutely going to trip players up without practice. This is certainly a practice map. Not in the sense that it's unreadable if you don't practice, but rather that practice is much, preferred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my theory for why players aren't picking reading is that people aren't really pushing reading that much these days, especially because, like, a lot of the players in this tournament are extremely good at things like speed and aim, because those are the skill sets that you really push to become a top player, but things like reading really haven't progressed too much in the players. But in order to make a balanced map pool, we have to keep reading up to par with everything else, so even though this is, like, one of the lowest starred maps in the map pool, it's still gonna go, I think, picked only a few times. So we need to give players a reason to push reading.
Of course. That's the thing about, like, high-level reading, right? It's like, most of these top players, obviously Corsace Closed, featuring a lot of really good top mechanics players, and that kind of shafts reading a little bit. So, a lot of these players are very hesitant to pick these reading maps.
Yeah, Akola, we really, really miss you. You got this score in just a few tries, I think.
That's what the Akola replays are for.
So going to be a banger score on that from Akola. Thank you so much to Artisan for the custom as well. Hopefully this one sees the light of day more than once. Now here we have Hidden 3. This map is awesome. I don't want to hear anything from anyone about this map. This map is based.
That's an awesome intro stream, man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I can't really say anything else about this map. But, I mean, I can say a lot more about this. So we went for a stylistic change on this week. So far in the tournament, the Hidden 3 slot has really been dominated, I think, by some flow aim tech maps. But due to some changes, we've seen an influx of slider maps in the Hard Rock pool this week, not to spoil anything. So we decided to go for something a little bit different this time in the Hidden 3. We put our more rhythmic control map here into the Hidden 3 slot. But not to say that that's the main skill set in this, because this map really throws a lot of different things at you. You have obviously some awkward aim, courtesy of Isamir to Angelo. You also have some streams that vary in BPM, along with those long bursts at the beginning and end. And you also have a very brutal flow aim section at around the 2/3 mark, where you could just find so many chain misses, and I feel like it's probably going to determine outcomes for maps on this map.
Of course, this one different than what a lot of people would expect for Hidden 3. Maybe some hidden mains kind of in shambles with this one. But this one's still very, very difficult all throughout. Absolutely fitting in the pool, especially with how the Hard Rock pool is going to look. No spoilers, of course. 260 BPM is going to be quite the struggle for a couple players here. Especially that intro stream we saw, even just this Lucrece replay, he was dropping so much act on that. And that could honestly come to determine a match if a player drops that much act on the intro stream.
Yeah, I would say that stream would probably be pretty problematic along with the one at the end if this section didn't exist right here. This section is going to be so brutal for the players who aren't extremely comfortable on hidden flow aim, where you have the BPM just changing, as well as, honestly, the OD on this map. The OD on this is very high, I think at around, like, high 9s. It says OD 9.8, so the accuracy drops everywhere else in the map are going to be insane, and look at these cuts as well. There's just so much opportunity for you to drop your accuracy across all different patterns on this map.
Of course, this map doesn't pull any punches with the flow aim on these streams. Again, you gotta say, shout out to Lucrece. Soldiering through this one. This one, actually, I will say, is the last previously existing map in the pool. From here on out, there is only customs in the semifinals pool.
Lots of work went into this one. Probably the pool we have put the most work into so far, honestly, so hoping this one turns out okay. And then here you have this very difficult flow aim section as well, along with the other one. But now if you can manage to have a big combo into this part, you're going to be rewarded with a little bit of downtime until the end burst. Also, love to hear some Yosei Teikoku. Yosei Teikoku,
Oh,
classic artist, been mapped for so many years. Okay, here it comes, here it comes. Who's gonna double tap this?
Zoodinator.
Yep, Zoodinator. Alright, now, onto Hard Rock Pool. As I mentioned, that thing about lots of sliders in HR, yeah, we're keeping that. So last week was more of a conventional HR1 with the aim, but we're going to be going back to the round of 16 trend with the slider aim HR1 in what a lot of people like to call light tech, what I call mech tech, but I haven't seen it catch on too much, so I'm going to start calling it light tech for you guys again.
No. Trust. You gotta keep saying it. You can't give up. Mech tech.
Mech tech. Mech tech. This is mech tech, guys. Mechanics tech. Lots of difficult slider jumps in this, along with some space triples as well. This map is just a pain to be consistent on, honestly. A lot of our replayers having much difficulty holding consistent combos on this. I think Rectigon got an S rank on this replay, actually. Only slider breaking, which is pretty unreal.
Yeah, shout out to Star6 for this custom map. And she's been so consistent pumping out these sort of mech tech kind of maps in the past. Glad to see one for this Hard Rock Pool. A little bit daunting, I must say. I think there was a little bit of discomfort for her at the start here, trying to map this, but pushing out a banger after a while, and I'm a huge fan of this. Both the song and the map are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that this pick isn't going to be extremely mean. I think the AIM players have a behemoth of a map for this one. Going to have to make sure they know about the sliders, going to make sure they're good at hitting the slider heads here. Or else they're going to be facing the same fate as Rectigon, finding a infinite amount of slider breaks on this map, I think.
Yeah, 100%. This map does not take anything lightly. Be hard-pressed to find an FC on this, just with the amount of crazy space streams and really hard kick sliders there are on this map. Spacing is incredible all throughout. It may be a tech map, but make no mistake, this is still an aim map.
Yeah, I might have to put a bounty on this one. You get a certain amount of money in PayPal if you can FC this in the match.
What is a certain amount of money?
I mean, I don't know, I roll 10 right now, and you get that much.
Alright, that's fire.
Yep. Yeah, this definitely going to be a very difficult aim map here. I think definitely one of the most difficult maps in this pool, if I'm going to be honest. Only our strongest aim players are really going to opt into this one, I think.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're setting a bounty on things, you might as well set a bounty for a Corsace Closed limited edition Momokai Tap Trio.
Oh, true. Be sure to go to Momokai. We've got the Corsace Closed 2023 Tap Trio there for you. The custom colorway. If that fits your aesthetic, please go buy it. We love Momokai here at Corsace. Alright, now into our Hard Rock 2. We've got our precision map this week, mapped by Lusky. This is going to be circle size 5.5 default, which is CS 7.15, I believe, when converted to HR. And
sounds right.
This is going to be a little bit more standard when compared to the Hard Rock 2 from last week, which had a lot of difficult alt flow aim patterns along with the aim control. This one, I think, really focuses a lot on the aim, more similar to the one that we had in qualifiers. But this one also having a few streams interspersed in here and there that also require your aim to be in control. So, yep. I feel like that's just inherent when you get to this circle size, though. Everything becomes aim control here.
Yeah, I mean, you see a crossing of skill sets that's just unavoidable by a certain point. Aim control will be an element in everything. Sort of finger control as well. It's just where you go when you reach these 8-star pools, and it's only going to get harder from here as well. Though, as you said, a little more traditional than your last week Hard Rock 2. But the circle size is going to be the killer. This is really going to test your actual ability to play precision aim.
I think this one going to be very suited to a player like Zoodinator, who maybe a little bit less favored of something like that aim control alt map from last week. Gonna much prefer something a little more aim heavy like this one. So here you go, Zoody. Enjoy picking this into question mark. I already forget. We did the matchups like 30 minutes ago. Why do I already?
That was awesome, man.
Yeah, it's
good.
Awesome.
Good memory. The answer is MCY4.
Oh yeah, she'll probably want to pick this into MCY, but MCY also pretty good precision player, so maybe a little bit risky, but still. I think this map is really clean though. I think we're going to see this one be reused in a lot of other high-level tournaments as well.
100%, and you know what? I'd love to see it. I believe this is Lusky's Corsace debut. That's the great thing about mapping for Corsace, is you kind of just get to see your maps pop up in other tournaments as well. Now, shoutouts to Lusky for that map. Thank you as well to the classic Lucrece for the replay. Now let's go into Hard Rock 3, a return of a Corsace mapper who was sort of just missing in 2022. Gordon is back with a Jazag jump scare.
Does Jazag jump scare mean that he collabed this with Jazag? I actually don't remember.
There was about a 10-second part with mapped by Jazag because Gordon was getting mind blocked on it.
Okay, so yep. You remember what I said in the Hidden 3 where we moved some tech picks around, some of the slider aim around? Well, here's where the Hidden 3 ended up being. Not to say that Hidden 3 is locked into being slider aim or tech, but I'm just saying that the HR3 is now tech and the Hidden 3 is now going to be the other style of gimmick, the more control-based one. But yeah, this one is pretty brutal, honestly. Lots of difficult aim control, lots of different difficult sliders to aim. My vocal cords are getting mixed up here already. Hey, we've been casting a long weekend, Taikani.
That we have. And it's been a good weekend of matches, too. So you know what? I can't complain.
Yeah. I could say all the buzzwords about this type of tech that's present in this map, but I feel like a lot of it is just going to go with the eye check. You look at what this type of tech map is, and you know what you're going to get.
100%. A collab between Gordon and Jazag, two people who I didn't really imagine collabing with each other ever, but I kind of love this map. We're about to get into a more intense part here. This is why Hidden 3 wasn't tech, by the way. It's this map combined with Hard Rock 1, the double Hard Rock tech. Maybe quite the challenge for a lot of these players.
Yeah, we like to try and keep it fresh.
Yeah. Should say as well, this is an inner camming replay. So thank you to inner camming for this wonderful Hard Rock 3 replay. This map, no slouch. So getting a score that inner camming did, 500k on this map is really, really good.
Inner camming is the tier of player that could get invited to Corsace Closed, so I don't recall if we attempted to invite him or not, but definitely a player who, if he makes another big comeback by this time next year, could be seeing him in this court for Corsace Closed 2024. But here he is, featuring himself here in 2023 as one of our replayers, and we thank him a lot for his services.
Of course, inner camping, hoping to see him in Corsace Closed in the future. More than just a replayer, a very, very good player all throughout. Again, thank you, Inner Camming, for this wonderful replay. Thank you, Gordon and Jazag, for this map, because I believe we're, nearing the end of it. This is kind of long.
Yep, almost 5 minutes is this map, so got a lot on your plate with this one. Gonna have to be very consistent on this in order to be confident in it as a pick. But definitely gonna hope this one gets picked. I think some very specific players are gonna try and pick this. Players like the Krillers of the world and the probably the Malashevskis of the world. Okay, Gordon and chat saying it's almost 4 minutes, so the graphic may be trolling me.
Long intro.
Yeah, it's probably the long intro. I'm getting trolled a little bit. Apologize. But that doesn't really change how long it is. Still 4 minutes for a Hard Rock 3. It's pretty long compared to your standard one, so doesn't really change much of what we said here. It's going to be it for it. Already through the Hard Rock pool, we go into DT1.
Okay, this map has a story behind it. I gotta tell you, I was in call with Mimi, the mapper of this DT1, and Aiden, one of the poolers for this tournament, and I was just like mapping with them, and then I just go to bed and I wake up, and those two, right after I left the call, had devised an entirely new Corsace map. After the deadline for all maps to be finished had already passed. And this is what it was, an incredible DT1 of, I believe, a Taiwanese train VN mapped by Mimilia.
Yeah, huge shoutouts to Mimi, actually. She's been stepping up, doing a little bit more work than originally thought. We thought she was just going to be doing that HR1 from round of 16 from us, but then she ended up taking up a little bit of a bigger role. She's been helping us out with some replay collection, so I'd like to thank her a lot for that. Helping my lazy ass with this, and helping us be a little more efficient here. So obviously making this DT1 as well, very, very impressive doing that in the short time span.
Of course, Mimi has been making such huge contributions to Corsace in general, and very glad to see her find a second map in this tournament through the semifinals DT1. It is going to be your traditional DT aim, super high BPM, I believe AR 10.5 as well.
Oh yeah, I'm just thinking about it now, Taikani. DT1 is really the only slot in the tournament so far that has really survived being like a single skill set slot so far. It's been mostly the DT1 skill set, so it's DT aim, along with some high BPM bursts as well, intersperse. But trust me, we're going to be getting spicier as the weeks go on. Finals and Grand Finals, we have some banging DT1s. Not to say that these aren't bangers, it's just, you know, it's like other slots have been a little more revolutionized.
For sure. Yeah, this one was kind of crazy. Imagine my surprise when I go to bed to those two just talking. I don't even know what they were talking about. It wasn't Osu. And then just waking up to an entire finished Corsace map. It was 5 minutes long. That was a little crazy. Thank you to Lucrece for this replay. Thank you to Mimi for this custom map here. Unfinished start by Uniparity. What a banger.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be it for that DT1.
On to Sir Double Time 2. We've got Heaped Heart by Unlucky Morpheus. I believe this is Nick's Corsace debut as a mapper. A lot of you know him as a ref and a tourney host. Coming here being our DT2 maker. And you know, I might have actually lied. DT2 also still going to be your DT2 skill set. This is high BPM burst, stamina all the way through. Not too much in here to trip you up. Makes me sad to see Neneric be eliminated before this map is in the pool, because Neneric would absolutely shred this map.
Yeah, this one, as you said, is indeed Nick's Corsace debut as a mapper. He's been working very hard in, you know, establishing himself in the tourney mapping scene, and this one he's done it. It's very awesome to see him finally apply for Corsace mapping and get in. We immediately got him for this DT2. I believe that's actually what we had written down as, like, what do we kind of want Nick to do? And the only thing that we had put was DT2. Such a banger DT speed mapper.
Mm-hmm. We also love the Toho representation in our map pool with Unlucky Morpheus. Another replay from Lucrece, by the way. This guy can play stamina too. I thought this guy was like... He is farming, he is farming.
Look, where there needs to be replays done, Lucrece will be there.
But yeah, this map is just relentless. I see, Lucrece. Little glitch there. Glitch in the Matrix there. Stop playing for a minute, but... yeah, this is going to be, I think, a really specific type of player picking this. It's going to be only the top speed players who are going to really want to play this. Probably your Chikonis, probably your Emrex as well. Are going to be picking into this map.
100%. The speed stamina element of this map is so consistently difficult. It really is going to have to be your top speed, tougher players. I mean, it's the kind of thing you want to see at this point. Semifinals, 8 stars. This should be the point where you're really seeing specialists start to perform on map. You don't have those super contested maps between people who can kind of play a skill set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just what happens when you start to reach this star rating of Mappool. The specialists are really going to start to shine on their skill sets, and the all-rounders are going to be forced to pick up the pieces. But now we are going on to our last non-tiebreaker map. We've got DT3. By the way, I've seen some questions about when will the pool will expand. It will be next week. We will be getting HE4, HR4, and DT4. But here's another map, N95 by Kendrick Lamar. Scub Domino map. So I believe I started telling a story last week, about a map that was moved from Corsace Open to Corsace Closed. It was this one, right, Tekani?
Yes, it was this one. This shit hard, as is said several times within the song, in the background, in the diff name. This one was an idea thrown out for Corsace Open 2023.
Wait, what?
What? Okay, I didn't know about that. That's awesome.
Jump scare.
This was thrown to Corsace Open 2023 as a potential for the pool. They said they couldn't take it, but they said, you know what, we'll hand it over to the Corsace Closed team. This map needed to find a home somewhere because it is so good. Scub Domino absolutely performing as a mapper once again. The Grand Finals tiebreaker mapper, or one of them, for Corsace Open 2022. It's no surprise that he's out here producing absolute bangers. This one, N95 by Kendrick Lamar.
We're really happy to see Rolkinson's map picked a lot in quarterfinals. Hoping the same for this one. Looks like the people do enjoy their nice aim, control, alt, wrap maps. So this one should get a lot of love too, if you really enjoyed the Rolkinson map. But this one definitely a lot harder. Gonna be in the semifinals for that reason.
Of course. This one actually lower AR than the Rolkinson map, kind of leaning into a bit of a breeding element as it's AR 8.5 basis to Rolkinson's AR 9.
So yeah, AR gonna be less of a factor on this one for a lot of the players. Maybe gonna be a little more favored to the all-rounder players because they don't have to deal with the above AR 10. But now that's gonna be it for the map pool. Gonna be moving on to the tiebreaker now. We do have a custom map this time around for the tiebreaker. We haven't had a custom tiebreaker yet in the tournament. This one's gonna be by Selena, and it's gonna be Marionette by Daisuke Ishiwatari.
And this is gonna be, you've kind of seen it pop up a little bit. Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, these kinds of awesome songs from Arc System Works video games. And now we finally have one as a tiebreaker here in Corsace Closed. This one is 272 BPM, pure mechanics all throughout, that by the amazing Selena.
I'll let this map speak for itself, but I think a lot of it is going to hinge on which player has the more consistent aim. Probably going to be the main skill set tested on this tiebreaker, but it's also fairly high BPM, going all the way up to 272 BPM at its peak. So definitely the faster aim players probably going to flourish on this one, looking at players like Zudi, like Malashevsky.
%100%. Now, okay, there is one thing I don't get, and it's this background. I need someone to explain this to me. So the blonde guy with the blue, right? Why does he have a pen? Is there something there? Is that a background edit? I don't know. If anyone knows, please tell me.
He's writing the Corsace Closed 2023 script.
That's so true. That's so true.
Grand Finals tiebreaker. Oh my God, they're gonna pick the Nomad 1. Okay, we can't talk about Grand Finals Nomad 1 yet. We're still in semis. Let's look at this tiebreaker.
Talk about the script.
Oh yeah, the script. Oh yeah, I've already got an eye on that, so don't worry about it. It's gonna be a banger.
As it should be. Yeah, as you said, very aim-centric, high BPM. So map by Selena. This one was actually originally planned for finals, but we saw the preview and we just moved it down one stage. You know, get our custom tiebreaker out sooner here. Thank you so much to Selena for really working with us on a very short notice, just due to military service. Lots of work done on this tiebreaker. Oh, this was promo art for a drawing contest.
Oh.
That's fire.
Wait, yeah, that's sick. me on my way to write down in pen and paper my mid-journey prompts for the art contest. I probably just got blocked by like 20 people.
True. I just deserved, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I suck.
Awesome song as well. I love the Guilty Gear soundtrack.
Yeah, same. I don't even play Guilty Gear, but I always end up hearing their songs in Osu, and it's a great time. Oh, that is a pattern. Now, we are in semis, so that means 4 players have been eliminated so far in the tourney. Everyone remaining is in the top 12. So I'd just like to take a moment to say thanks to the players who were eliminated so far in the tourney for showing up, for trying their best. Obviously, someone has to go out first, and it unfortunately was those 4 players, so I'll be hoping to see them back here next year.
It's the nature of competition. Someone always has to lose, just how it is. And unfortunately, that means that 4 players have been knocked out. 12 will continue. But this tiebreaker, this tiebreaker might be the ending spot for some of these players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cinematic finishing on a song like this. But yeah, one last thing I'd like to mention, if you were eliminated this weekend, if you're one of those 4 players, we'd like more replayers. You saw Luke Reese doing like everything. You think, hey, I'm still good. I mean, obviously, I'm one of the best 16 players in the world because I got invited to Closed, but you want to do some replays for us? Well, just DM any of us, and we will get you rolled up because the maps are getting really hard, and we would like your very, very high skill cap and playing prowess here.
Of course. Love the invited players. Love the existing replayers as well. Everybody involved in this tournament has been such a blast to work with. We would love to see more replayers in the future as we get into these super hard pools. And if you want to try out, you want to be one of the first to play maps, amazing maps like this, it is absolutely worth it if you're one of the 4 eliminated players. And for those remaining, I mean, you better be scared. Those players, they're gonna play the maps that may determine your fate. Again, huge shoutouts to Selena, where our final map due date for every map to be done was at the beginning of March, and that was when Selena submitted a preview for this map. Due to military service, we knew it was coming, and we kind of worked around it, so this map was only just recently finished, and a lot of work has gone into making the changes, but that is going to be it for that TB. And with that, the semifinals pool has been showcased.
Yep, as always, thank you all for watching. To the players, this pool will be on the spreadsheet, I believe, shortly, if it's not already there. Schedules as well, gonna get pinged about that. And until then, stay tuned for the next weekend. We've got the top 12 players in the tournament battling it out on this map pool, and definitely gonna have a very, very exciting weekend of matches. Hopefully we get to see that tiebreaker played. And until then, thank you all for watching, and have a good rest of your day or night wherever you are.
We will see you this weekend.